Hello everyone, welcome to the Smooth Operative podcast. This is your host, Jubilant Rich, and today I'll be going through the 4 articles that were posted on the Warhammer community for Kill Team 2.0 from the dates of the 13th of July to the 17th of July. We're going to be starting off with the 5 things you need to know about the new, totally rebuilt Kill Team. Number 1. All new Skirmish Rules. We really mean it when we say Kill Team is being completely rebuilt. Every rule is bespoke, and they are no longer based on the Warhammer 40,000 rule set. These dynamic rules allow players to relive tense and gritty Spec Ops missions full of heroic moments and nail-biting decisions, like the demolition job seen in the stunning cinematic trailer. The new Kill Team experience simulates close-quarters skirmish combat, where stealth and positioning are every bit as important as shooting, and commanders need to use all their cunning to outfox their opponent. Alright, so the rules are new, and it's no longer tied to 40k. We knew that pretty much from watching the live stream. So did we really need to know that? Okay, right, moving on. Number 2, brand new stats. Your unit's data cards are changing, showing off what your operatives can do in more detail than ever before. Frontline troopers can act with comrades, nimble fighters can dodge incoming fire, and powerful soldiers, like the mighty Space Marines, can even perform more actions in a turn than lesser beings. We'll be having a close look at the new data cards later this week, so keep your eyes peeled. Right, well, that's good. New data cards, which, again, we kind of know. Moving on. Number 3, Battle for Octarius. Kill Team is set among the growing maelstrom of the Octarius sector, where Imperial forces and Xenos hordes collide in apocalyptic battles on a daily basis. As the next narrative setting for Warhammer 40,000, Warzone Octarius is home to a continually developing story that will have far-reaching consequences for the fate of the galaxy. The saga begins with the Kill Team and Warzone Octarius, Book 1, Rising Tide, which we also revealed during Saturday's preview. The Kill Teams themselves undertake critical missions in this theater of war, hoping to break the fragile stalemate. So important are the developments in the embattled sector that even those forces not directly involved have a stake in this momentous conflict. Okay, so I like that. You got a little asterisk here, and what does that lead down to? Let's have a look. The Imperium, Orcs, and Tyranids may be the major players, but every faction has its own agenda and Kill Teams at the ready. Yeah, that's cool. You mentioned the Tyranids there. Where are they, though? Where are they? Number 4, alternating activations. Constant back and forth action is the cornerstone of the new edition of Kill Team, as commanders take alternating turns to activate each of their operatives. Sudden dashes for objectives can come at any moment, and plans must change on the fly as enemy troops weave in and out of cover. No longer will one player have to withstand the full fury of the foe's assault before getting to respond. Right, well, alternating activations is a thing I do like, and given that I do play the current Necromunda system, I think it'll work pretty well. In fact, whenever they were hiring for a new Kill Team, development team, I was sort of like pondering. I didn't apply, totally didn't apply. I was pondering the prospect of alternating activations for another edition of Kill Team, so kind of glad I went with that step. Number 5, in-depth customization. The Kill Teams themselves are highly customizable, as you would expect from elite teams of operators, and there are many build options available. Each model can be equipped with weapons to match different specializations within their roster, and no 2 Kill Teams will look exactly alike. Check out these 2 examples that demonstrate how different you can make a single base model look. And as we see here, we've got you've obviously got the same leg set on these 2 guys, the sniper there and the demo, and they just got different bodies and arms, and it's like, okay, cool. I mean, yay. That seems like a great wealth of customization. And below, yeah, you got an orc boy who looks like he's got the same leg set yet again, and just different torso, head and arms. Yay. Yeah, so those were five crucial bits of information that we needed to know about Kill Team. I keep calling it Kill. I keep calling it Kill Team 2.0, but I suppose, to be fair, we should be calling it Kill Team Octarius, even though it's about as Octarius-y looking as, well, nothing really. I mean, I suppose it is nice that they've actually gone with Imperial Guard for a starter set, because that is not a thing that I've seen that often in the past of any 40k game. Orcs, well, I mean, I'm sure there have been at least a few different versions of the game. I know that they were in the second edition starter set for Warhammer 40,000, but yes, I digress. Yeah, well, this was kind of a pointless article, to be fair. Don't even know I even discussed it. But yeah, we'll now be moving on to talk about the new shooting rules. Actually, no. We got something even better than that, no. Now we're going to talk about how your games of Kill Team are going to be electrifyingly good thanks to the new Bespoke data cards. Yeah, so I'm not going to bother reading out the article to you, but I will show you some of these data cards. Like, we got the Trooper Veteran here, which I'm sure at least a few of us have seen numerous times. We've got these lovely combat gauges here, and the shapes and the measurements that these shapes represent. Moving on. And then we got the, them talking about the Krieg Veterans with their... Okay, let's actually look at this in a little bit more depth here. So as you can see, they got an M, i.e. movement value, which in this case is free circle. I'm sure everybody knows by now already that in Kill Team 2.0, a circle is going to represent 2 inches. So they can essentially move 6 inches before any injuries or what have you might debilitate them. They've got the, what is that, the action point, yeah, I think that might be the action point limit or some such, can't remember. Hold on, maybe I should actually read the article out and that would actually tell me. Yeah, yes, have a look. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. It is the action point limit. Yay, I'm not fucking retarded. But yeah, so APL 2, which I presume is like they say up here, yeah, 2 actions, much like Necromunda. The GA, they haven't even talked about the GA yet. And there was a possibility that, well, as of recording this, we're into the next week of articles for Octarius. So we might actually see it either maybe today, tomorrow. Who knows? And then we have the defense, which is free. Now, going off of the old stats of Kill Team and by extension 40k, I'd say maybe defense might mirror what the model's toughness was in the other game. I mean, obviously you got like the free here of a Krieg Veteran, and their toughness was free. I don't know if that means that we'll be seeing orcs with defense of 4, even though they've only got the, I assume, 6-up save. But I guess that remains to be seen. And speaking of saves, yes, we have here a 5-up save for the Guardsman, pretty much the same as it was in Kill Team and 40k. The wounds of 7. Now, I don't know how they're calculating that. I was actually trying to figure out a formula last night. And the only thing I could think of was, like, say, their toughness characteristic plus their wounds plus the amount of flesh wounds they could take. I don't know. Now they also talk here about one of the special like rules for one of the operatives in the Krieg kill team, the hardened veteran. And they've got the hardened by war rule, which is each time this operative would lose a wound, roll 1d6. On a 5+, that wound is not lost. You can ignore any or all modifiers to this operative's APL. So basically they get to feel no pain, and something which I presume is kind of similar to how transhuman physiology worked for Space Marines, where they wouldn't suffer the penalties for the first flesh wound. In this case, they basically just don't suffer any like penalties to the amount of actions that they can take in turn. And then there's the comms ability, which is signal for 1 action point, and you select 1 friendly guardsman operative within pentagon of and visible to this operative. Add 1 to its APL. This operative cannot perform this action if it is within engagement range of an enemy operative. So I like that. Basically makes a comms guy a little bit more of a sort of like comms guy, and less of a sort of like you shoot better now for reasons. Yeah, pretty good. Hopefully we will be able to see more of the different special abilities, because well, one thing that they've been so like showing us here is that kits with more options that you wouldn't normally use in, like, say, a 40k game or what have you, or, I feel like, let's take, for example, the spotter. There's actually a spotter veteran amongst these. It's basically just your Krieg guy with some binoculars. I assume he's going to be taken over from where the old comms guy was, and he's going to be the one that provides your buffs for your, shooty bang bang guys. Now, they talk about the keyword section at the bottom of the card, which, well, I mean, that's great, but we do see that the Krieg data card does have regiment listed there as opposed to Krieg, so that would imply that I don't know how soon it will be, whether it will be from launch or later, but we will be getting sub-factions. That's actually a good thing for all concerned, I'd say. And they also show us the different specialisms that you can actually take, but the implication here is that they're, purely for narrative campaigns, which I'm not really that bothered by, because like I say, with you being able to customize your kill teams based on, the options available to models, rather than like, oh, you can have this many specialists and blah, 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 blah. You don't really need to worry about specialists. It's like, hey, cool, I want a sniper, cool, I'll just get a model of a sniper rifle, done, I got a sniper. And if you want a medic, get the guy with a friggin' medic kit, and there you go, you got a medic. Anyway, final thoughts on the data cards. I'm just a fan of them, really. They just seem to do exactly what they need to for this edition. Yeah, and actually having each choice be a data card, rather than it be you sort of like pick your, your options from different sets of unit data cards, as it were. I think that just opens up for a lot more scope, so. But moving on, we shall now actually talk about the ranged combat rules. So, las guns can kill from across the board in new kill teams' deadly firefights. Ooh, scary. So, as we all know, in the previous edition of Kill Team, the board being 22 by 30 inches, it's pretty easy to get in range. How they attempted to nerf that was having that whole long range penalty thing, which annoyed the crap out of me. When Pariah Nexus, for its brief frigging life was around, we didn't have long range penalties, as long as, of course, we were playing in the ultra close confined missions. But yeah, now we don't even have range, at all, apart from obviously things like flamers, which get the pentagon, i.e. 6-inch range. It's an interesting drop, mind you, because before that, everyone thought that we were going to get the 12-inch flamers that had a 9th, and now it's like, you know, shorter range than it was even in previous editions. It's kind of interesting. Well, let's see how that plays out. Yeah, so here we've got the profiles for the las gun and the las pistol. Pretty similar, apart from obviously you got a 6-inch range, or sorry, a friggin' pentagon range on your las pistol. And yeah, that's not bad. It's actually nice to see that the las pistol itself could possibly kill something. But yeah, I'll read this next bit because, of course, it actually goes into the mechanics of how these, you know, stats work. At heart, all ranged weapons share a few key characteristics. The attack stat shows how many shots an operative can take with that weapon. Rolls that equal or exceed their ballistic skill are marked as hits, and rolls of 6 are counted as critical hits. The target must then roll the number of dice equal to their defense stat. Any results that equal or exceed their save characteristic are marked as a save, with 6s counting as critical saves. Once all dice have been rolled, the attacker's hit rolls and the target's saves are compared. Crucially, critical hits can only be blocked by 1 critical save or 2 standard saves. Any hits that are cancelled by a save apply their damage to the target's wounds. The split number represents how much damage inflicted on a normal hit and a critical hit, respectively. Now, I love the phallic measurement contest that is contested rolls. I mean, I prefer that to just a whole bunch of crap to end up in 0 result, which, you know, often was how the shooting went in the previous edition of Kill Team. Like, having the saves rolled, you know, against the actual shots, to me, just makes a whole lot more sense. Cutting down the, you know, amount of time it takes just to friggin' attack another model, it's just, oh, I love it. Yeah, and I mentioned the flamer earlier, and well, it's rather short range, but the Torrent Rule, which it gets here, basically, it allows you to attack all models within circle of the initial target. None can escape the scorching flood of Promethium at such close range. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's not bad. I mean, it basically adds up to being similar to how the previous flamer operated, I reckon. What's most interesting here is that it's actually you do actually have to roll to hit with it. However, it's a 2+, so more often than not, you know, you're probably gonna get at least a few hits in there. And then we have the long las. Now, I love snipers. I just, if you can give me a weapon which allows me to deal as much damage as possible at 0 risk to myself, I'm going to take it. And the long las, yeah, like it. So you got an attack characteristic of 4, you got a ballistic skill of 2+ on it, you got a damage free, /free, so it's, but we'll go into that later in a second. The special rules, it's got none, but for its exclamation point thing, whatever the hell that's meant to imply, you got mortal wounds free. Critical hit rules, as name implies, are only applied to critical success. Oh, so that's what the exclamation point means. It's a critical hit rule, right? Okay, are only applied to critical successes. The long las is mortal wounds free rule, for instance, inflicts 3 automatic wounds for every critical hit rolled before the unfortunate target has any chance to prevent them. Nice, love it. Just smooth. But yeah, that's great. I'm all aboard for that. Sniper rifles are actually good. just hook it to my veins. So now that I've expressed enough excitement over sniper rifles, let's go into the final article for the week, which was "Close Combat is a Deadly Dance of Death. in new kill team. These guys should just hire me. I mean, like, I could write this sort of stuff. It wouldn't really be a problem. Okay, so skipping that other thing. While melee weapons have many of the same characteristics as the ranged weaponry we took a look at yesterday, the quick and violent nature of close combat means survival is more a matter of split-second decisions and honed not instinct, than carefully aimed attacks. Rather than the attacker taking their shots and trying to slip past their target's armor, both fighters roll their melee attacks simultaneously. Starting with the attacker, the combatants then alternate, choosing whether they want to use a successful hit to inflict damage or parry one of their opponent's hits, cancelling it out. This means that every fight is a strategic dance of death where powerful attacks are turned aside at the last minute, and heroic soldiers throw themselves on enemy blades to land a desperate last-ditch blow. Now, I got a few things to say about this. Firstly, when it says about cancelling, well, so far, I think at least a few people understand it as whenever the attacker, of course, who takes the first turn to use one of their dice. Now, they could, if of course the defender got some successes, use their first dice to parry what might be coming to them from the defender. But if they don't and they attack first, I'm assuming that just goes through. There is no cancelling it out because it's already being decided. You've already you've already chosen a successful hit. So, I mean, I suppose that makes sense if because it actually gives the attacker some sort of, benefit in that they can actually just straight up attack, get one little dig in, before any others are parried, or, they might not have got any more successes anyway. But anyway, regardless, yeah, so if it is that way, and, they don't, get parried from the first attack, then that's great. And of course, the guy who's choosing can just parry that first attack, if that is how it ends up being instead. Well, that's also good, but it would be kind of counterproductive. You just end up with, if of course they've both got equal successes, that would just be nothing happens. If it's like attack, parry, attack, parry, attack, parry. They also talk about how armor saves don't actually, save you. So I'm guessing that there is no such thing as, like, say, a critical parry, or, you can't, like, I don't know. I mean, like, you can obviously deal criticals in melee, as we've seen by some of the weapon stats that we'll go into. But hold on, let's actually have a little look. If we don't remember, no, doesn't really seem to imply that you can actually cancel out critical hits from melee yet. But I guess that'll be clear when we have the full rules in hand. But yeah, then we have some weapon stats. We got the power weapon, which is attack 4, weapon skill 3+, damage 4/6, and its special rule is lethal 5+, which of course means that it will be dealing lethals on a 5 and a 6. Now, that's pretty good. Obviously, people haven't taken note of the fact that power weapon is now just a catch-all term. It isn't just like power sword, power maul, power friggin' whip, whatever. Now it's all just power weapon. I don't know if that will be including things like the power fist or the thunder hammer. What I'm assuming is that those weapons will get their own stats, which will of course be like a 4-up rather than a 3-up to hit. That's just my guess, of course. And then we've got the bayonet, which of course there will be lots of on the Krieg team. They've got an attack of 3, a weapon skill of 4+, a damage of 2/3, and no special rules because for instance, a bayonet, so whatever. Yes, and while people might have got excited at them saying in the following text, of course, you can't hack your opponent into little pieces if you don't get close enough to them in the first place, so how do we go about that? Well, of course, they're not going to talk about charging, are they? No. Instead, they say they're going to talk about some, moving over obstacles thing, because they've had a few questions about how movement works in the new edition. I'm sure nothing about charges, though. Nothing about charges. Effectively, it has evolved. Distances are now measured using cleverly designed gauges, which are broken down into 4 increments: 1 inches, 2 inches, 3 inches, and 6 inches, each of which corresponds to a different shape. Units move in increments of 2 inches, denoted by circle, and most have either 2 or 3 circle. I'm kind of wondering who is going to be getting the 2 circles. That's probably going to be the Necrons, which of course spits in their face a little bit more, because that takes 1 inch off of their already pretty slow move. And that's the only ones I can think of, really. I'm pretty sure orcs are moving at the same speed as guardsmen, aren't they? So I don't know if it'd be the orcs, but who knows? Maybe it will be. But yeah, also it talks about how if you want to get over things like barricades, you basically just take -1 circle off of your move. So, yay, that's great. We know how to move over obstacles better. That really taught us about how to get into melee combat a bit better. Anyways, as for the articles this week, yeah, they were all okay. Majority of them were fairly insightful. For those of us who've been playing a bit of the old squint hammer on Discord, such as the Glass Half Dead Discord, will have already learned most of what I've actually went through in this video or podcast. And basically, that's another thing I want to say. As for Glass Half Dead and all the other content creators out there who are actually covering Kill Team, I recommend, if you're not already watching them, just go look for the Glass Half Deads, look for the Command Points of the world, look for the Hobby Heroes. I'll be putting some links in my description to any of the channels which I personally have been watching a lot of content from, because basically, as Glass Half Dead himself has said, if people are looking for Kill Team content and they're not really finding any, then they're going to assume it's a dead game. And well, I want, as soon as that game hits shelves, I want it to be big. I mean, if people are only now getting into the hobby and they've heard about this new little skirmish game coming out, I'm not gonna lie. If you are coming into the hobby and you want to get into 40k, this isn't going to be the game for it. It's now completely separate from the 40k rule set. It does, of course, have 40k models, and some pretty decent models, which I'm sure some 40k players will be buying the box just to get a hold of. Good for 40k players, bad for Kill Team players, perhaps, but we shall see. But yes, this has been the Smooth Operative podcast. This is Jubilant Rich, your host, signing off. And hopefully I shall speak to you again next week, where we'll be covering the next slew of articles from Warhammer community about this, what will be apparently the best edition of Kill Team ever. From what I've seen so far, maybe they're not just bluffing.